still wasn't ready to buy into the fact that it was a ghost.
Well, it would be hard to. Yeah, I mean, seriously, I never physically saw anything other than hearing sounds. And, like, again, my friend who was an attorney, again, after his nephew killed himself in the bedroom, I mean, he started hearing noises, not all the time, but it would come and go. And it was enough for, at one point they were thinking even about selling their house. Now, I haven't talked to him for a few years. He might not even be there anymore because of it. But I don't know if maybe it was guilt feelings. Maybe he felt he did something wrong, or maybe he could have stopped the suicide. I mean, and he was manifesting this stuff in his own head. I don't know.
And one thing I find interesting, too, going back to what you said before about credible people actually witnessing things and reporting it, that's one thing that I looked at for years is who was reporting hauntings. And I was trying to find out if it was one kind of socioeconomic class, or is it more males or females, or, whatever. And there's such a wide variety of people. I've had the opportunity to do over 200 resolution cases, working with hundreds of people and talking to various people in the families, and, from little kids up to adults. And, I've dealt with, everybody from, drug users all the way up to doctors and attorneys and police officers and you name it, just hundreds of different people who all report basically the same stuff. And what I kind of find interesting is when you look at how many paranormal teams are out there now, thousands across the country, and some of them have some pretty intelligent people in there who have, science backgrounds and this very great intellect for looking into things. And you would think that by having all of these people taking a look at hauntings, if they didn't exist and, the paranormal events people were seeing were just natural stuff, that this would all be going away. But the opposite tends to be happening. People are witnessing so many things now that more and more people are getting into it. If you look at TV, you usually have cycles of television shows, emergency room shows, attorney shows, police shows, fireman shows, and they all cycle. They'll disappear for a while and come back. Now, I don't know how long it's been, 15 years, maybe 20 years. The paranormal field just is going strong, and there's just still this huge curiosity, and people are going out there and experiencing, these events that are supernatural. So I just find that amazing.
Well, yeah, I even classify UFOs as paranormal till we can actually, have proof that I can see, you can see, and your neighbors can see, and was the History Channel just laid out the most money they ever did for a TV series, Project Blue Book. And it's kind of a drama, but it kind of at least somebody's trying to do stuff about it. But what I honestly have found, I had one of somebody was going to come on my show, but his attorney talked him out of it. He worked for one of the major cable networks as one of the first ghost hunting shows. And I'm not talking Taps, but it was another one. And what he told me, because we had an hour conversation when he said he wanted to come on the show, he said a lot of times he would be sent out. The network would send him out with his crew, and they would go places, right? And if they didn't come back with any proof of anything, of a haunting, the network boss basically told him, go back and you fake it and come back with something we can show.
Mm-hmm.
And, just like me and him were talking, that does more damage in the paranormal than anything. If you got a show that's out there, like maybe on one of the travel or whatever networks, right? If you can't, how can I say it? To go out and fake a haunting or a encounter or something like that, it's a slap in the face of all these people that are trying to prove that these things exist. Now, I will say I have ran across some people. I cut a group off of my show here months ago. The first thing they said when we were talking is, I said, okay, well, what do you guys do? Well, we want to be on a cable show. Okay, well, how many places have you investigated? Oh, we investigated 1 or 2 houses. Okay. And I said, you investigated one or two houses, and now you want to have a cable show. And I found a lot of these groups are social groups. They just get together just to, drink a beer. I hate to say it.
Yeah.
Mingle and talk. And they really don't go out and do anything. If you're going to go in this, if it's looking for UFOs or looking for Bigfoot or trying to find some hauntings in a house, okay, you got to really put effort into it. You just can't just all of a sudden expect, I'm going to do this, and all of a sudden I'm going to have a cable show. It's crazy. And I don't know if you run across any groups like that.
Yeah, unfortunately, you see, even if it's not a cable show, they're popping up all over YouTube with their stuff. And there's a place for social groups, without a doubt. I have no problem. Some people just want to experience things, and I was one of them. I wanted to see if it was real. One of the things you just mentioned, I saw things on TV. I wanted to believe it, but there's still that ratings problem, So, for me, I couldn't really buy into it. I wasn't sure. Is it being made up or is it legitimate? I didn't know. But there's a lot of cases that we've gone to where people have said, hey, I had this team in here, and, they said they can help, but they came and they didn't really do anything. They just investigated, and they showed me some evidence. So that kind of was a pet peeve for me. It still is. One thing that I wish that if teams don't have the ability to resolve cases, kind of stay away from the houses. If you have like a family or even a business where people are looking for legitimate help stopping the activity, stay away from those. There's a lot of public places that they could go to investigate, just to experience stuff. But that was one issue that I kind of had with the original team that I worked for, is that they were kind of promoting that they were there to help, and they were very good at documenting, and the technical side, they were fantastic on the technical side. But lagging in the resolution part, and that's where me coming as like a public servant, looking at people, working with people every day, I found that there were a lot of very sincere people that were very scared, and they just wanted to know what I got in my house and get rid of it. And the team didn't really have the ability to do that, so that's where we wanted to break away. And interestingly enough, I wasn't sure if I believed in ghosts yet or not when I started this resolution team, but I wanted to see if I could bring psychics into a haunted place. I worked with enough psychics to, form my own opinion that some were very credible. I wanted to see if I can get those people who claim they could communicate with spirits and could help, get them out of a place. If I brought them into a haunted place, could they actually do that? So we looked for someone we could study and who was willing to do it for free. And so we didn't want money to be a motivating factor of them coming to help somebody. And, we were able to come up with the resources over several years to be able to help people. But, unfortunately, the motivation for some people is just they're looking for fame. It is a kind of a fun thing to get together and do. But it does bleed over into some television shows as well.
Oh, yeah. Well, I would be really scared, too, is if a house was, had some type of awning going on or some spirits or whatever. If you had a group in there that didn't really even know what they're doing, couldn't they make it even worse? Instead of resolving anything, all of a sudden they leave, right? Now all of a sudden you had little stuff going on. Now you got major stuff happening.
And there were some shows out there on TV that did, promote provoking ghosts and trying to get a physical reaction. The problem was, even if they did get a physical reaction, you can't be 100% sure who you're dealing with. And, that spirit could be somebody's grandmother or daughter or husband, or somebody's child. So these teams go in and, based off of what they've seen on TV, they start provoking because they want to get that physical activity. And quite often leave a place with that ghost still left there to now take it out on the family. And we've had reports that, teams have come in and kind of wound things up, and then they reached out for more help, and we've gone in and, tried to help them out the best we could. But yeah, it's unfortunate, but it does happen.
Now, have you ever had any cases where people were getting scratched or, or marks on them during these hauntings or whatever was going on? Have you ever seen any proof of anything like that where, all of a sudden the lady or husband or whoever was standing there, and all of a sudden some scratches would appear on them? Because I've heard that a lot from having mediums on my show, and other ghost hunting groups tell me that they've seen stuff like that happen. Have you ever?
Yeah, occasionally we do get that. Not quite often, but occasionally we do find that. More than not, people are providing us with photos rather than it happening while we're there. They'll show us some photos, and there's a million reasons why scratches could appear that are natural, especially if they're in bed and they say woke up with these scratches on. People could be just scratching themselves in the middle of the night and just they don't know it. But we have gone in on cases where people have reported that. They've shown us the pictures, and we've had our investigators develop either scratches or like little welts or something that feels like burns. We had an investigator that felt like she was being choked, somebody else who felt like they were punched in the back. And these are things, it could be scary, but, the investigators that we put on are okay dealing with that. And the way we kind of look at it is that it's a piece of information that backs up what our clients are saying. So, nobody wants to get hit in the stomach or scratched, but if it happens, we're okay with that. We deal with it, backs up what the clients are saying, and we do have the resources to be able to deal with whoever's doing that from the other side. But yeah, it doesn't happen a lot, but we've dealt with it here and there.
Yeah, it's strange. I mean, it's things like that. It's really, hard to, I don't know, if you actually physically see it. I mean, what do you do in a situation? How do you cleanse the house? Do you have people in your group that actually, once you detect there is something to, help eliminate what's going on?
Yeah, and that's the benefit of working with the medium. And when we started, we weren't sure we wanted to put a medium on our team. And we kind of thought we would do the technical, I hate saying scientific, but it's more of a technical investigation. We're not running all kinds of, field experiments, and they're not controlled in a lot of cases. So we'll call it a technical investigation where we're trying to document as much as we can. And we do try to reproduce some stuff when it happens. But when you have, again, a credible psychic medium who can give you information that you can back up, we have a researcher that we also use to try to back up any psychic information. That gives you just another angle to look at things. And number one, if we're getting scratched or punched or something like that, the first thing that comes to my mind is an intentional. So what is the intent behind that activity? Is somebody purposely trying to hurt somebody, scare them, or is it somebody reaching out for help and just trying to let somebody know they're there, and that's the only way they know how to do it, and they don't even know how much energy they're even applying, and it ends up being a scratch when it was meant as just a tap. So we kind of rely on our medium in that case, and we look for the intent. Why is that activity happening? Is the living person doing something to cause it or deserve it in some cases? And our medium has so far been the best resource for us for stopping hauntings. And we've worked with, energy workers and clergy and just a wide variety of people, even doing stuff like saging and prayer work and stuff like that. We've been most successful using a medium who claims she can connect with these ghosts, speak with them. Sometimes a certain amount of counseling is needed. And what she tells us is she will connect with them and be able to guide them into the light in a variety of ways. When she's doing this work, she calls on spiritual help, divine help from the other side. And she will tell us a light will appear, or it might be a bridge appears, a little vortex of energy, something that she knows to direct these people into. Many times they don't want to go because they're scared or angry or whatever the case may be. So she has to work with them. Sometimes it's almost like if someone goes to a psychic for a reading, they claim, if there's a psychic medium and can connect with the dead, they claim that family members or friends who have died will show up to give information. So Virginia will try to call on family members of that ghost, and in some cases has to connect them with the deceased family members on the other side, and they could pull them out of there. And other times she might call for